Look at my look at my screen, brothers and sisters. How is everybody? I hope that everybody is doing well and coming in tonight. Glad that you are here with us for another Bethel Bible study class. All right, glad about that. Uh, Let me scoot back and give myself some room tonight because we're going to have some fun, okay? We're going to do some work tonight. I want to say to all of you all that are in our chat room, let me get some more things lined up here that I need to get lined up. Uh, I can't do that until I actually come on and then I can do it. All right. So let's see who's in our chat room. Let's go over there and take a look. And I have my little mouse here, and I'm going to bring it over here with me so I can work it real good. Let's see who's on our chat room. We have first in the. That's not my chat room. Where's my chat room? What did I do? Oh, there's my chat room. All right, there's the chat room. I don't know what that other thing was. Alva Ellis, first in our chat room tonight. Let's say hello. Cheruda Abraham Talbert, our first moderator tonight, our Bethel family up in St. Mary's, Georgia. There is Sister Barbara Betton, Sister Sheila Clayton. There's Brother Brian Johnson, my brother from another mother. And we have our friends from Alaska. Yep, that's Brother Scott and Sister Erica Landley up in Palmer, Alaska. Glitcher, thank you for being here tonight. Latoya, Carlos, Amir B, Amir BP, IOG in Atlanta. How you doing, Brother Carlos? Listen, we're going to get started tonight. This is part 2, brothers and sisters. Beware. Satan is trying to move you away from the tree of life. We're going to get deep into this lesson tonight. But before I get started, I want to do a sound check to make sure you all can hear me okay. So if you hear me okay, somebody give me a thumbs up in the chat room. Just let me know, hey, Pastor, we got you okay. If I need to cut it up, I can do that. And I want to get all that stuff out of the way right now. So you all let me know. I want to make sure you all can hear me well because we're going to dive deep into this lesson. All right, there we go. There we go. I got a shiny head right now, but that's okay. Beware. Satan is trying to move you away from the tree of life. That's what he's trying to do. I am going to go back over here and fix, I know what that was. That was my Bible that got off par. And I'm going to go over here and fix that real quick and get that together, okay? That's what got off base way over here. I'm going to bring it back up and I'm going to bring it in where it's supposed to be in because I'm going to go into a scripture tonight. We're going to go into several scriptures tonight, brothers and sisters. Yes, we are. We're going to hit some book tonight, all right? But before we do all of that, let's go into what we're going to be talking about. This lesson has been inspired because we are dealing with a lot of people that are trying to seek after other books. Let me make a disclaimer. I have no problem with other books that people are looking at, such as the Septuagint, the Pentateuch. I have no problem with those books. It's when we go after those books because we feel that there's something wrong with the version that we have, that I believe that the Lord gave us. And I tell you why, because he sets up kings and he takes down kings. And it's not by coincidence that we have the English variation of the scriptures that we have, one of the oldest English variations that we have. So there's nothing wrong with the King James Version Bible. The issue is that the King James Version Bible as a book and the Bible, the scriptures as a book, is on attack. It's on attack because it is a trick of Satan to get you away from the tree of life. It is the scriptures, brothers and sisters, the law and the testimony that will get you eternal life. It is the word that has been manifested from the flesh that we have today, that we read, that gives us instructions that we may inherit eternal life, to be able to enter into the Father's kingdom. Satan's job from the very beginning is to divert you, is to lure you away from the scriptures. But again, I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not trying to attack anybody that reads the Sefer Bible, the Script Bible, or anything. That's not what this lesson is. This lesson is about those that go after those books seeking knowledge because they think that there is no knowledge in the scriptures that we have, in particular the King James Version Bible. So because of that, we're going to deal with that tonight, because it is no doubt that this is a trick of Satan. Also chasing after language. I want to speak Hebrew. We got to get back to our native tongue, our original tongue. Brothers and sisters, you have what you have. You have been scattered where you have been scattered to. But one thing we do know, that no matter wherever you are, the scriptures ensures something that Isaiah the prophet put before us all. I want to get this straightened out just a little bit, because it's really bothering me. I got to turn some stuff up, because I want to be able to talk. And this microphone seems like it's acting up a little bit. So let me kind of flip it and get it the right way. So y'all give me 1 second here, because I don't know why all of a sudden it's become an issue. So, but don't worry, I'm gonna fix it. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. And I'm gonna get a book that I could use as a something to hold my mouse, because I'm sitting so back far from the camera. But while we're talking, home studios, sometimes they just get lost. They'll make you get lost. Okay, we good now. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. And I'll try to move this up a little bit more. Okay, so, Brother Mark P., is my volume still okay? Just let me know if it still is. And I'm trying to get it right where you all can get the max from me without me disturbing myself. Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah 68. And what I'm saying is, you've been scattered. And no matter where you've been scattered at, the Lord is going to reach us, okay? At the end of the day, He's going to make sure that we can get to this book. Why is that? Because Isaiah 28 says, whom shall He teach knowledge? To whom shall He make understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. All right? For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. But then he says in verse 11, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. The Pentecostal people used to use this to say, you see, they speak in tongues. That's not what he's saying. I just want to put that on the table. But with stammering lips, with various nations, various tongues, and another tongue will he speak to this people. And he's speaking of Israel. He will get to us, brothers and sisters. We happen to have the King James Version scriptures. But what Satan does, he puts out something like he did over in Genesis. And I'm just summarizing for a moment, giving people time to get here, what we discussed last night, that one of the tricks of Satan is to do this. He comes to you and he tells the woman, he says to the woman, and the woman said unto the, well, let me go back up to verse 1. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, is it true? You should not eat of every tree of the garden. Is it true? So what's metaphorically what he's saying? Is it true that you're not supposed to get information or talk or deal with anything else? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, don't eat it, talking about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God have said, you should not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And look at what the serpent said. You should not surely die. For God doeth know in the day that you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open. You see, Satan lured and deceived Eve into going after knowledge, and that she was going to be enlightened. You're going to be as gods. This is the move that Satan is doing today. He wants to draw you into the lost books. You see, you got to read the lost books. And then the conspiracy theory comes in. You see, the 1600 Bible is different from the 1611 Bible. And people will actually say, because the proverbial they, have taken things out that they don't want us to know. How many of y'all ever heard that? If you heard that, if you heard that, just put a thumbs up in the chat room. If you heard people say they have taken things out of the King James Version Bible from the 1600s, 1611, because there's things in there they don't want us to know. If you have ever heard that, put a thumbs up. I'm just curious. I'm just curious over there to see if you've ever dealt with that, because we're dealing with that right now. Carlos got 5 thumbs up, because what is happening is The premise is that there's something in those books that they don't want you to know. And brothers and sisters, it's far from the truth. Because when people bring that to you, there's things in this book they don't want you to know. There's information in this book that those people who say that, who are searching after other books, there's things in this book that they don't know. Why is it that they don't know? Because they haven't read it. But what are they doing? They're chasing. What are they chasing, Pastor Johnson? They are chasing knowledge. They're tracing what Satan lured Eve to do. Again, some people honestly can read those books and have no problem with saying something's wrong with the King James Version Bible. You got some people who can read it, and I tell you, I own right here. Here it is, right here. I own one called the Scriptures. That's what it's called, the Scriptures. Nice little gift. It says the Scriptures is a literal translation of the Tanakh and Messianic writings. Okay, so some people can read something and it's not going to go anywhere. I read these books because, like I said, again, it was a gift. I thought it was a nice gift. I looked at it, I read it. I didn't find any variation other than the names. The names were different than what we read in the English translation. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. People want you to think that there's something that has been taken out of the Bible that they're trying to hide from you. And brothers and sisters, it's far from the truth. Nobody's trying to hide anything. Satan, it's a trick of Satan to lure you away. So tonight what we're going to do, we're going to look at two books. We're going to look at, in particular, the Septuagint. The Septuagint, and we're going to compare it with the King James Version Bible. And because there's some people that say, well, you can't, I don't read the King James Version Bible. I read the Septuagint because there's things in there that's written the correct way that they don't want us to know. So that book, they don't want us to know about it. I've heard that. I'm just telling you the buffoonery that I've heard. And why is that? It goes back to this guy right here, Satan. That's who it goes back to. Right there, Satan. You should not surely die, for God doeth know that in the day that you eat it, your eyes are going to be open. So you got people chasing, we need to get to the lost sea scrolls. You see, those books, they don't want us to have. It's almost like, Satan is saying to Eve, he don't want you to have this. Because he knows that the day you eat it, your eyes are going to be open. And so he don't want you to read this book. I got no problem with the Apocrypha. You want to read it, read it. I got no problem. But it's not the Scriptures. Somebody said, why is it not the Scriptures, Pastor Johnson? They took it out of the original King James Version Bible. They took it out. There's things in there they don't want us to know. I always say to that person, have you read the Apocrypha? Do you know what the word Apocrypha means? That's some of your homework assignment. Find out what the word Apocrypha means. Have you read the Apocrypha? Do you know what it's about? Do you know it has nothing to do with Israel? It's about the Maccabees. It's about the history of the Maccabees, who were converts. So you can hit people with this because they think that there's something in there that all of a sudden somebody don't want you to know. So now all of a sudden you're looking at these other books and you're chasing these other books. And again, why are you chasing them? Because Satan said to the woman, you should not surely die, for God doeth know in the day that you eat thereof, your eyes are going to be open. I'm doing a direct comparison, a direct correlation to what people say. Have you read the book of Jasher? You see, they took Jasher out. They didn't want to add the book of Jasher because there's things in there they don't want you to know. Have you read the book of Enoch? No, I haven't read it. Well, you see, there's things in there that they don't want us to know, so they hid it from us. If you got the book and if you're reading the book, it is far from being hid. I'm sorry. So these are the things that we are dealing with. So as we dive into this tonight, we're going to take a look. We got two books we're going to go into. We're going to look into the book of Jasher tonight, and we're going to look at the Septuagint, and we're going to compare it. So let's get underway. Let's go over here. And where are my Bibles? I got two Bibles set up, brothers and sisters. There it is, right there. Here it is, right here. So let's go over there and look at it. So in Bible A, it is the Septuagint. Let me show that to you. This is the Septuagint, and I've got it in the English version, but let me tell you about the Septuagint. Because the Septuagint is really the Hebrew scriptures translated into Latin. Let's go read that real quick, and we're going to come back to it as to what it is. What is the Septuagint? So you can see it. About the Septuagint, and you can't see this part over here, but I'm going to read it to you. Welcome to the Septuagint. The Septuagint is the Greek translation. It's the Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures, Old Testament, and used by the early church. So it's the Hebrew scriptures, but it was translated into Greek. The Septuagint is also called the translation of the 70 because tradition states that the Septuagint was translated by 70 people. In academia, the Septuagint is often abbreviated as the Roman numeral 470 in honor of this tradition. The site is a joint project between the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America and the Hellenic Bible Society. The aim of the Septuagint Bible is to make available the living Septuagint text as it is used in the public worship and private devotion in the Orthodox Christian Church worldwide. Remote, easy accessibility to the Septuagint published a properly edited edition of the Septuagint for use in the divine service of the Orthodox Church. An important part of this effort entails the ongoing efforts of the Hellenic Bible Society to produce a properly corrected text that addresses many of the errant or error mistakes made through various editions over the years. This site will serve as an official clearinghouse of that Septuagint text. The Hellenic Bible Society, under the leadership of Dr. Machias Schatzenganis, has just published the definite edition of the Septuagint Book of Psalms. So that's the history of the Septuagint. So in essence, brothers and sisters, it is translated from Greek, from Hebrew to Greek, and from Greek to English. So what they did was they took, now we do have it. Here it is in Greek. And I got up the book of Exodus, but even if I was to pull it up because it's written in Greek, we can't understand what it's saying. So what they do is this is Exodus, the first chapter. They do have it translated, and I've got it tonight, translated from Greek to English. And so the English translation of the Septuagint. So now you got it coming from supposedly Hebrew to Greek, and from Greek to English. That's what we got. It goes from Hebrew to Greek to English. And some people say, well, I like reading the Septuagint because it's more close to the original text. Well, let me tell you what King James did. King James simply took Paleo Hebrew and it was translated into the Masoretic text into English. They called it the Book of the 70. He had a council that also came to take the texts and translate them into English. So do you see, everybody has an objective. Their goal was to take the book and put in their language. That goes back to the scriptures that we have over here, that the Lord said with, let me go back over here. No, it's not my Bible. Where's my Bible at? Bam, kabooyah. There it is. Let's go back to Isaiah. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. The Lord is going to get his word to us. We can also go to Acts, the 2nd chapter, and look at what happened on the day when everybody came to celebrate the Pentecost. When they got there, it says there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. And then they were confounded. Why? Because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not these which speak Galileans? Remember our text in Isaiah, the prophet, with stammering lips and other tongues will he reach his people. How hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born, and where these people come from? Look at all these places. Parthians, Medes, Elamites, dwellers of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, parts of Libya, Cyrene, strangers of Rome, Jews, proselytes, Cretes, and Arabians. But what were they saying in all of these languages? Listen to this. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. What can we learn from this? What we can learn from this is when people get into these debates well, you got to speak, we got to get back to our original tongue. No, no, brothers and sisters. There is a pure language that we brought to the table last night. Brother Julius, put that scripture back up in the chat room. I think it was over in the book of Zephaniah. When the Lord is going to give us a pure language, a pure language. It's going to be better than Paleo Hebrew. It's going to be better than ancient Hebrew. He's going to give us a pure language. So don't let people get you into all of these names. You saying the name wrong. It's not that name. You all of these debates. Brothers and sisters, it's nobody but one person. And that's this guy right here. This guy right here. Let's go to him real quick. I'm going to show you who it is. And let's go over here to Genesis. I'm going to go back here to the 3rd chapter. It's nobody but this guy. You should not surely die, for God doeth know in the day you eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened. You need to read the book of Jasher. You need to read the book of Barnabas. You need to read the Septuagint. You need to read the Pentateuch. You don't get the Apocrypha. There's things in there that they took away from the Bible because they don't want us to know. You got to ask this question to people. Why is Passover before the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Can you answer that question? They're going to say no. But guess what? That's in the book that you're trying to turn people away from. The answer to that question. Can you tell me why the Feast of Unleavened Bread is for 7 days? What is that signifying? Oh, I don't know. But you want me to go to another book because there's things in there they don't want me to know. And I got some meat on the table that I need to learn. Can you tell me why Pentecost you counted 7 Sabbaths and the morrow after the 7th Sabbath? Can you explain that to me? No, they can't. And that's what they're going to say. But what have they done? They have been used unknowingly in most cases. You should not surely die, for God doeth know in the day that you eat thereof, the moment you come over and eat of the tree of knowledge. Because that's what people are doing. They're going after other books because of knowledge. They're seeking knowledge. But yet in the scriptures, it tells us right here in our own very book, in a language that we can understand. And this is what it says. But somehow we miss this part. Listen to this. Psalms 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. So you want understanding? You want wisdom? This tells you how to get it. But no, I want to read the Lost Sea Scrolls. I want to read the Septuagint because the translation is better. I want to read the Pentateuch because it's the original tongue. I need to get to the book of Jasher and the Apocrypha. So let's deal with this. Let's continue on. Let's deal with this. Here we go. In Bible B, I obviously have the King James Version Bible. All right? We're going to look at the Septuagint, which is, again, Greek. The Greek Bible, it was Greek, but it was translated from what they say was Hebrew into Greek. Well, what we have, brothers and sisters, is the Greek Bible translated from Greek to English, being the Septuagint. Yep, I got it. Right here online, the Septuagint. So when I look and somebody tells me there's something that they don't want us to know, look at Exodus the 20th chapter. That's what we're gonna read. Exodus the 20th chapter. Look at that. And let's dissect it. Before I do that, I asked Brother Julius to put over there for us a scripture, and he did. Zephaniah. And I'm going to go to it real quick. Zephaniah 3 and 9. And these are things you got to write down to give to people. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. Because let me tell you, the Hebrew that you think you got is really Yiddish. People say, well, there's no letter Y or no letter J in the Hebrew Bible. That's what they say. But guess what? There are no alphabets, brothers and sisters, in the Hebrew Bible. None at all. There aren't any. I mean, there are no alphabets. It's only symbols. That's all that's there. You don't have anything else there in the scriptures. And there's no alphabets. So they say, well, you know, the letter J did not exist. So what are you saying? The letter Y is in Hebrew? Is in the Hebrew alphabet? No, it's not. Paleo-Hebrew does not have any alphabets. It has symbols that represents sounds. See, when you know these things, you'll put some people to rest because they say some crazy stuff that don't make any sense. They'll tell you the J has only been in existence for 300 years and it's not in the alphabet, but they're going around and saying Yahushai, and this is how you spell it. No, it's Yahushai, and that you're not supposed to have the I before the A. I'm telling you the buffoonery that people argue about. It's Yahushai. No, it's Yehuda. These are the things people get distracted by Satan. And when the Lord says, I'm going to turn to people a pure language, a pure language, a pure language. Why does he have to do that? Because of this guy right here, who's simply saying, you should not surely die. God doeth know in the day that you eat. The moment you start reading other books, your eyes are going to be open. The moment you start, the moment you get out of the Bible, because there's things in there, it's been changed. It was written by Shakespeare. Those prophets are not real. I'm telling you the stuff that's coming to the table now. So you got to go into these books, the Lost Sea Scrolls, the Book of Barabbas, all of this because they know when you start reading those books, your eyes are going to be open. And you know what Satan is doing? He's trying to get you from meditating in the Word, learning the commandments of God, what he requires of us to get what? Eternal life. That's why we call it the tree of life. We call it the tree of life because that is his word. Jesus was in the garden. Jesus has become the Word. The Word was manifested in the flesh. The Word dwelt among us. And all you got to do is learn of him, the laws and the prophets, the laws and the testimonies. to get that, brothers. That's why the apostle says we have a more sure word of prophecy. When you ask people what scriptures are, what are the scriptures, some people believe that they don't even have an idea what the scriptures really are. Let's go to this comparison again. Here's the Septuagint, which is Greek transferred into English. We're going to look at the Ten Commandments. On the left side, it's the Septuagint. And the Lord spake all these words, saying. Well, in the book of Exodus, King James Version, it says, and God spake all these words, saying. Well, there's no difference there. I am the Lord thy God who brought, in Bible A, I am the Lord thy God who brought thee forth, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Let's read Bible B, King James Version. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So far, is there anything alarming? Look at verse 3 in Bible A. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Look at Bible B. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. We're going to get into a little difference now. Look at verse number 4 in Bible A. Thou shalt not make to thyself an idol, nor likeness of anything, whatever things are in the heaven above, or whatever are in the earth beneath, and whatever are in the waters under the earth. Verse 4 in Bible B says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. One says idol, one says image. Or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Stated differently, but it's still saying the same thing. Verse 5, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy God, a jealous God, recompensing the sins of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Well, let's read verse number 5 over here. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Well, one says recompensing the sins. One says visiting the iniquities. In Bible B, visiting the iniquities, recompensing the sins of the fathers, of the children. I want y'all to look at this, and this is the hoop holler that people are ranting and raving over. Get the Septuagint, because it's got something in there that they don't want you to know. Is that what it seems like? See, when I get these other Bibles and people try to say, well, you know, that text is more the original. And I hate to be sarcastic when I say it like that, but this is when I say it this way because this is how people say it, as if they say it with some oomph, it makes it like it's authentic. You see, that's the original language. It was translated from the original language. I got to go back to this text right here. Right there. Satan is telling Eve, there's nothing wrong with coming over here to get some knowledge. Because the Lord knows that the day you come over here, your eyes are going to be open. And you're going to be as gods. You're going to be special. This is what people are doing. This is what people are doing. I found a difference when we get over here, and I'm going to skip over to the Sabbath on both of these other books. I'm skipping over to the Sabbath. Sorry about that. Let me get back over here to where I was. There it is right here. Again, brothers and sisters, there we are. Bible A is the Septuagint. It's Greek. It's translated from Greek to English because the Septuagint, again, is Hebrew translated into Greek. And they say this is what was used by the early church before 1600. So let's read it. Let's read what it says regarding the Sabbath. Bible A. Bible A. Let's read it. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and shall perform all thy work. Well, let's read that over here in Bible B, the King James Version. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. Well, one says perform, one says do. Is there any difference in the context? No. But there's something wrong with the King James Version because it's the way it's written, and there's things in the Latin going to the English they don't want you to know, or the Greek going into the English they don't want you to know. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Verse 10. Bible A, Septuagint, Greek into English. But on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. On it thou shalt do no work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, thine ox, nor thine ass, nor thy cattle of thine, nor any cattle of thine, nor the stranger that sojourns with thee. Let's read verse 10. But the seventh, this is Bible B, King James Version. But the 7 days is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor the cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. Wow. One says, nor thy stranger. The other one says, nor the stranger that sojourns with thee. One says, stranger that is within your gates. Is there any difference? No, because the stranger in your gates is the one that is sojourning with you. And is there anything that is so alarming? And see, this is what I do. And I know we're taking our time and we're reading tonight, brothers and sisters, but you all know how we do it on Bethel BHG TV. We break it down and we dissect it and we investigate it, because when you come to class, we're here to learn. And we're not going to walk away where you're not going to get no evidence of it. Everybody's all right? Give me a thumbs up. If everybody's all right, give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure y'all still with me. Shout out to Brother Julius in the chat room, one of our moderators. Sister Coach in the chat room, one of our moderators. So what I want to know, give me a thumbs up. If y'all okay, does Brother J.D. Israel, one of our moderators. If you're still with us, just give me a 1. I want to make sure this builds up the algorithm and it notifies some people who don't get notified. There we go. There we go. Shout out to Sister Kamasha Douglas. Just gave birth to a baby boy. All right. All right. All right. So let's get back to this, brothers and sisters. Let's get back to this. Shout out, Sister Jimmy. Here's the point that I'm making. Is there anything that is overwhelmingly alarming that has taken us that's going to give us something totally different? No. Look at verse 11. Septuagint, Bible A. King James Version, Bible B. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all things in them. All things in them. But look how it says here in verse Bible B. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Okay, one says all things in them, and the other one says, and all that in them is. And rested the 7th day, Bible A, rested the Sabbath day, therefore the Lord blessed the seventh, and rested the 7th day, therefore the Lord blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. No different from Bible B. Let's look at verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that it may be well with thee. But in Bible B, the King James Version, it says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And thou mayest live long on the good land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. See, I want you to look at this in case somebody says there's something overwhelmingly different that they took out that they don't want you to know. There's things in there they don't want you to know. There's things in there. He knows that the day you eat of it, your eyes are going to be open. See, I have to keep it real like this, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, I got to keep it real just like this. I'm not going to let up on it tonight. I'm not going to let up off of it at all. We're going to hit it. Let's keep going. Verse 13, I notice a difference. 13, 14, 15, and I'm going to show it out to you real quick. In the Septuagint, in Bible A, King James Version Bible, and the Bible B, in A it says, thou shalt not commit adultery. However, in Bible B, it says, thou shalt not kill. Let's keep going. Thou shalt not steal. Verse 14 in Bible A says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Verse 15 says, thou shalt not kill, right here. But the only difference is they have the same thing, but it's in verse 13 on this side. So we don't see no variation. Both 13 says, thou shalt not commit adultery in Bible A, but it says that in verse 14 in Bible B, the King James Version. So again, there is no difference. Still apart. The commandments is still there. It's still there. So Bible A, Kamasha, is the Septuagint. That's the Bible that was translated from Hebrew to Greek. And of course, we have it in this English translation. Because again, here is that same Bible. If we was to give it to you in Greek, you couldn't understand it. Y'all see that? All that is Greek. All of it is Greek. I can't even understand it. It's all written in Greek symbols, so we couldn't even get it. So what they did do, they do have it translated into English. Verse 16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That's Bible A, the Septuagint. Look at Look at verse 16 in the King James Version and Bible B. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Says the same thing. 17 in Bible A. I'm just highlighting the King James Version. But in Bible A, the Septuagint says, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, nor his field. Nor his field. That's going to be a word that's not, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife. I'm reading verse 17, Bible B. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. But in the Septuagint, it says, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house. Okay, we got that. Nor his field, well, they added that in there. And I'm not saying whether they added it's of importance or not of importance, nor his servant, nor his maid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor any of his cattle, nor whatever belongs to thy neighbor. It's saying the same thing. But there's in there that I want you to know. Whenever I get these things, there's certain books I go to see how they line up. Bible A, again, is the Septuagint, and I'm going to go to this book. I'm going to go to the book of Leviticus, and I tell you why. I want to go to Leviticus the 23rd. Leviticus the 23rd is what I'm going to go to. And there's a reason why. I want to know if in the book of Leviticus there's going to be something in the Septuagint that will insinuate that the feast days is on a different day. So over here in Bible B, let's go to the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And let's see if there's anything alarmingly different. Again, Bible A is the Septuagint, which is going from Hebrew to Greek, and they translated it into English. And of course, Bible B is the King James Version. All right, so let's read it. Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, got that? Look at verse 2 in Bible B, King James Version. And in fact, I tell y'all what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to type in the word KJV. So y'all know which one I'm talking about. How's that? King James Version. All right, we're going to put that out there so we can see it. All right, there it is. KJV. And on Bible A, we're going to call it, we're going to put it what it is, which is the Septuagint. All right, we're going to come over here and we're going to make sure that you all know what it is. And it is the Septuagint. And I don't know if I'm spelling it right, but it sounds okay to me. I don't think it has an I in it. So, you know which one I'm talking about. Let's make sure I spell it right, too. I want to make sure I got it right. Because I'm going to leave this. Tuagint. Let me go back over here. Septuagint. Did I spell that right? and it's going to be GI. So y'all know which one. That way, anybody else come into the chat room, they'll know what we dealing with. How's that? There we go. So let's get that fixed up. I think that makes it better. And I don't have to keep saying that the rest of the night. All right? Let's put that right there. All right. That helps. Okay. So let's make this go back into Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. All right. So we got that up there. And let's just see if there's anything alarmingly different. Speaking to the children of Israel, and thou shalt say unto them, the feast of the Lord, which you shall call holy assemblies, these are my feasts. That's in verse 2. But in Bible B, the KJV, it simply says, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocation. Even these are my feasts. Nothing different. See, this is the point I'm trying to make, brothers and sisters, because people would think that there's something in there they don't want you to know. So let's go right here. Verse 4. Verse 4. Let's bring it down so we can see it. These are the feasts to the Lord, holy convocations, which you shall call in their seasons. That's verse 4 in the Septuagint. KJV, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. Nothing alarmingly. Look at verse 5 in the Septuagint. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between the evening times is the Lord's Passover. I'm going to highlight that for a second. I'm going to highlight verse 5 for a second. I'm going to read by KJV. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. When verse 5 says between the evening times, brothers and sisters, is when the sun starts to go down. It's afternoon. And when the sun is going down or at its down point, that is the time point. So when they say that the Passover is between the evening times, I got no problem with that, because one could probably say 3 o'clock is in between the evenings. That's what they could say. They could say 12 o'clock is in between the evenings, noon. So the point that I'm making is that he, from the 3rd hour to the 6th hour of the day, he was there. So he was killed in between the 2 evenings. So I always teach from the KJV. This might give a little insight, but I'm never going to go teach from the Septuagint, because I make it a practice. I am in the English tongue. I have a version. I'm going to read that version. I'm going to stick with that version. I'm going to study from that version and teach from that version. As a teacher, I may see if there's anything different or significant that may shed a little light, but other than that, that's it. This is one of them right here. This is one of the areas that I may look at. But is it still the 14th day of the first month? Yes. Because look at verse 6 in both Bibles. And on the 15th day of the month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. Look at Bible B. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. So what is alarmingly different? So I said, well, Pastor Johnson, what's the problem if they tell us to go read the Septuagint? I'm going to tell you what the problem is. It doesn't stop there. See, that's the issue I have. It doesn't stop because you're reading the Septuagint not for additional insight, or maybe is there something in that translation that may lead a little bit more insight? That's different. But when you go into the Septuagint because you're seeking knowledge, because that book, the KJV, there's things in there that they took out that they don't want you to know. See, when you go look at another book under that premise, the issue is it never stops. Now you're going to go from the Septuagint, and then you're going to go to the Pentateuch. Then you're going to go from the Pentateuch to the Tanakh. And Lord knows you don't want to deal with that because it wasn't even written correctly. Then you're going to leave that, and then you're going to go into, well, none of those books are right, so I'm going to read Enoch, because Enoch covers everything. He covers the first 5 books. He covers everything. And you don't realize that what you're reading is that's purported to be written by Enoch was not even written by Enoch. The prophet is real, but the book, when you read the preface, it tells you. So that's what I'm showing you, brothers and sisters. When you start to go after the other books on the premise that they took something out of that book because they didn't want us to know, you're doing what Eve did in the garden. Satan lured her from the tree of life to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Why? Because the Lord knows your eyes are going to be open. That's why he don't want you to come and get this information. He knows your eyes are going to be open. And when your eyes are going to become open, you're going to be like gods, knowing good and evil. They don't want you to know that. So come on over here. Come on over here. Because again, Satan's job is to get you away from the tree of life. That's what his job is. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to do something a little different as we move along. Because I can go into this all night long. I can show you the Septuagint and then show you in the KJV. And I'm telling you, you're going to find little difference, but the context is the same. But let me show this one to you. I'm going to go over to the book of Jasher. That's where I want to go at next, to the book of Jasher. I'm going to bring that book all the way over, and I want to show this to you. So I got the book of Jasher, and I found the online version. Let me see if this is it. There it is. And I want to show you something in particular when we deal with this book. I downloaded it, and I have what we call the PDF version. But in particular, I want to show you something. I'm going to go all the way back up here. This is the book of Jasher. Okay, the book of Jasher. This is the online version. Book of Jasher. And this is where it gets people right here. It says, referred to in Joshua and 2 Samuel. Got no problem with that. Here's the issue. You see where it says preface? This is table of contents. And the other one it's got in here, let me fix this right here. The other thing that it has is this the real book of Jasher? Let's click on it. Listen to this. This is what it says. Is the real book, is it the, quote, real book of Jasher? See, this is the part that a lot of people don't read. This is the part that most authors are required simply by the oath of the office to be authentic. This is where they got to tell the truth. The preface. Because this is what gives the authors credibility. And when you read the preface of any book, it's going to pretty much put the truth out there. So let's go back over here. Is this book real? That's the question. It is understandable that some may feel that it is impossible or unlikely that this volume could really be the original book. This issue is compounded by the existence of several books by the name Sefer Hayashir. I have in my possession a copy of Sefer Hayashir, which is called the Book of the Righteous, edited and translated by Seymour Cohen. Now, I want you to see who these books are being translated by. It is clearly not a book of history, but an ethical text that was probably written in the 13th century. Its introduction cites several other books of Jasher, some of which are no longer known to be in existence, such as that by Zariah ha-Yavani of the 13th century. Yada, yada, yada. We're going to skip some of this. The first step in dealing with the question of authenticity is to simply read the book with an open mind. I don't need to read the Bible with an open mind because the Bible, the King James Version, when I read it, it speaks. It speaks for itself. I don't have to read it with an open mind. One cannot, listen to this, one cannot this is the book of Jasher. One cannot effectively investigate the matter unless he is familiar with it. After all, according to Solomon, he who answers a matter before he hears it, it is a folly and shame to him, in Proverbs. The reader will find that it reads very much like the Bible, except that many passages are replete with details that are not recorded in the Bible. There are digressions from the biblical narrative that show concurrent events in other parts of the world. There are chapters dealing wholly with events in Egypt or events in Europe. Much of this material can be recognized from other works of ancient history. To anyone familiar with ancient history, it will be obvious that Jasher places these events in a radical different time period than do conventional historians. To be sure, if Jasher to be true, there needs to be a radical alteration in the conventional interpretation of ancient history, especially in the area of chronology, timing. So already they're letting you know there's problems with where the events supposedly took place and the timing of those events. Let's continue to read. There is little consequence at variance with the Bible. Let me read that again. There is little of consequence at variance with the Bible. There are some chronological features that differ. No kidding. In particular, and let me tell you what it is. In the book of Jasher, it's got when Abraham went to go offer up Isaac. In the book of Jasher, Isaac is almost 30 some odd years old. Absolutely. But in the Bible, it's got Isaac as a young lad. Big difference. And it's got, Jasher's got a 30 plus or roundabout age of a man just simply lying down to be killed willingly by his father. It doesn't go that way in the book of the King James Version. Let's keep going. But these can usually be attributed to a textual error. Wow. Usually the error will be resolved by reading on. A later entry will fall into harmony with the Bible text. In other words, you got to read, so it's contradicting itself. So you got to keep reading it because it's later going to correct itself to be in harmony with the Bible. But keep in mind, usually the error will be resolved by reading on. You come across an error, but just keep reading because a later entry will fall into harmony with the Bible text. Remember that the ancient scrolls of this book were in poor condition when the book was printed in Hebrew in 1613. It is not unlikely that some numbers could be scrambled. Listen to this. There are a couple mysterious accounts of incidents that smack of Greek or Roman mythology. Yes. So in the book of Jasher, they're telling you that in its translation, somebody added some Greek or Roman mythology. Let's go back and read that. There are a couple mysterious accounts of incidents that smack of Greek and Roman mythology, such as the story of Zepho, the grandson of Esau, who slew a half-human monster in a large cave. It's in the book of Jasher. That the grandson of Esau killed a half-human monster. And somebody wants me to read the book of Jasher when they're telling you what you're about to read, that it's got a touch of Greek and Roman mythology? Listen to this. This account is easily recognized as the same story as that of Theseus. I'm not even saying that name right. Who slew the Minotaur. The characters and the setting are different. A critical reader may object to this material, but many valid explanations are possible concerning why this and other such events are recorded in this book. I want to know what that is. The original author may have simply reported those things because they were popular folklore of his day. Are you kidding me? And somebody wants you, go get the book of Jasher, because there's things in there that they took the book of Jasher out of the King James Version Bible when it was compiled together, because there's things in there they don't want you to know. I'm not going to say it. I was thinking it, but I'm not going to say it. I was getting ready to say there's a lot of, I'm not going to say it. And none of y'all going to make me say it either. Now, there's a lot of crap in there they don't want you to know. That's what it is. Listen to this. I got to read this again. Again, brothers and sisters, this is the book of Jasher. This is the online book. So you can buy it or you can get it online. I got it online. I'm reading the preface. Let me read this again. There are a couple of mysterious accounts of incidents that smack of Greek or human or Roman mythology, such as the story of Zepho, the grandson of Esau, who slew a half-human monster in a large cave. Brothers and sisters, you could actually read this story in the book of Jasher. This account is easily recognized as the same story as that of Theseus, who slew the Minotaur. It's a type of animal. The characters and the setting are different. Now listen to what they say here. A critical reader may object to this material, but many valid explanations are possible concerning why this and other such events were recorded in this book. I wonder why. You know why? This is why they say it was in this book. The original author, which is not Jasher, the original author may have simply reported those things because they were popular folklore of his day. Such stories are merely mentioned in passing and no significance is attached to them. Though one might doubt the veracity of these tales, there is nothing here that should dissuade an objective reader from the opinion that this book is genuine. Are you kidding me? You're going to write a folklore in the book. You're going to tell me in the preface that it's a folklore, but there's nothing in the book that should sway my opinion that this book is genuine. See, let me tell you, you know what Hebrews' biggest problem is? Right here. Seeking after knowledge instead of the truth. This is a trick of Satan to get you to go after the tree of knowledge and not the tree of life that will give you eternal life. Satan got you chasing something else. This is why I got to bring this up. This is why I have to bring this. I'm telling you, I got to bring this in. I told you all the other night, I'm barring none. I'm not going to put a fence around anything I got to say, because Satan is like a roaring lion seeking whom he can devour. So you got to call folk out. You got to call them out. And you have to be careful. And that's why we're doing this lesson tonight. So you don't get caught up in the buffoonery to start saying, well, I want to go see what this book says. Well, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. No, Satan is wrong. I wish I could have been there to tell Eve, Eve, don't do it. He wants you to go after that book. He's got you running after knowledge. Brother JD says, don't forget that Book of Mormons. Brother, it would take a 3-day lesson, Brother JD. Shout out to Brother JD again. Because let me tell you, brothers and sisters, if I had to deal with the Book of the Mormons, it would just blow your mind. Let's finish reading this. Listen to this. Even the most casual reader will find Jasher enlightening. I guess you would. Accounts in the Bible can be made more lucid and easier to understand with the background of Jasher in mind. The next issue is to investigate in regard to the authenticity of this book is the 2 passages which mention the book by name. So because Joshua mentions the book, and because Samuel mentions the book, and somebody wrote the book, you want me to believe that what you wrote that wasn't written authentically, that I should just accept it? No. Listen to this. While the above 2 references pass the test, it will be up to the reader to satisfy himself as to the general agreement of the entirety of the book with the Bible narrative. This is such an extensive comparison and such an obvious one that I will not attempt to make any verse-by-verse comparison. What I have, and the one that we're reading, I don't want to say what it really is. Certainly any reader who is familiar with the Bible will recognize its similarity to the text of Jasher. Brothers and sisters, there's no mythology. There's no folklore in the Bible. So no, it's not going to have no comparison. Listen to this. There probably is no way that we can know that the Bible writers quote from this book, rather than the other way around. Listen to this. There probably is no way that we can know that the biblical writers quoted from this book, rather than the other way. It is possible that this book was reverse engineered. Perhaps that the book of Jasher from the Amorian period was compiled from rabbinic sources, such that is a kind of digest of rabbinic traditions. Indeed, there is a great deal of commonality with accounts from other Midrashic sources. If this were found to be so, it would in no way diminish its value. It is possible that someone created this book as a clever fraud. Wow. So here's a question. It's a question. Is it possible that someone created this book as a clever fraud by appropriating the name of the biblical Jasher to give the word credibility? Let's see what the answer is. There are, of course, many examples of such pious counterfeits from the early New Testament period. Could someone have fabricated this book by incorporating a huge number of additional details into the framework of Bible stories and do it with such accuracy as to be convincing? It is remotely conceivable that some writer of the rabbinical period could have gathered a vast array of those stories as are common in rabbinical writings and incorporated them into this work in a framework to, in some way, add credibility to the stories. But such a scenario seems very unlikely. Since rabbinical writings have a great deal of credibility otherwise, and no major effort of promoting this book for that purpose has ever occurred. It is hard to imagine that this book would be counterfeit for the purpose of any other. But wait a minute. You say it's not counterfeit, but you just let us know that it has folklore in it. It is hard, and they say it was just inserted in there. Wow. It is hard to imagine this book would be counterfeit for that purpose or any other. There is simply no motive for such an act. In any case, if this were true, it is such a masterful job as to be a very valuable work in its own right. The accuracy and credibility of this supposed pseudo-Jasher is absolutely genius. If this be a forgery, it is a marvelous one. Wow. I want you to look at what they have here, brothers and sisters. I want to read this last part. Finally, consider how Josephus described the book of Jasher. He said, by this book are to be understood certain records kept in some safe place on purpose, giving account of what happened among the Hebrews from year to year, and called Jasher or the upright, on account of the fidelity of the annals. There could be no better description of the book you see before you. The bottom line is that as a reader, we'll have to answer the question of legitimacy for yourself. Whichever side of that issue you take, I think that you will be enlightened by exploring the issue and reading the book. If you feel as I do, that this book has the powerful credentials to commend it as the biblical book of Jasher. And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. We don't know if Jasher is even a person, but it's called the book of the righteous or the book of judgment. It's not necessarily a person. You will now have in your hands an additional source to investigate when studying the Bible. No, I'm going to let the Bible interpret the Bible. You will also have much food for thought. Wait a minute. Food for thought. Do not eat of the tree of knowledge. You will have much food for thought in regard to the issues of conventional chronology in ancient times. So here it is, the book of Jasher. Then you start reading it. Let's go up here. So you got all of these events and stuff like that, and then you get into the book. You start reading it. Let's go all the way back up here to the top, and this is how it works. It's got 80 chapters. 80 chapters. And it's got the headings of the book. Creation of Adam. Seth is born in chapter 2. Enoch reigns over the earth. Um, let me go here. I wanted to read the one about Genesis. I'm not Genesis. Noah. Not Noah. I'm sorry. The one dealing with Abraham. Here we go. Where Abraham and Isaac. Right here. Isaac is born, causing, that's in chapter 21. I want to read some of it so you can see what happens. Here it is. Chapter 23. Chapter 23. Chapter 23. And this is what it says. Because I want you to look at this because you don't find this in the scripture. At that time, the word of the Lord came to Abraham. Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, he said, here I am. He said unto him, take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, even Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there with a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which shall be shown to thee, for there wilt thou see a cloud and the glory of the Lord. And Abraham said with himself, how shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah, his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before the Lord? And Abraham came into the tent and sat before Sarah's wife and spoke these words to her. My son Isaac is grown up, and he has not for some time studied the service of his God. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem, and Eber, his son, and there he will learn the way of the Lord. For they will teach him to know the Lord, as well as to know that when he prayeth continually before the Lord, he will answer him. Therefore, he will know the way of serving the Lord his God. And Sarah said, right here, Sarah said, well spoken, go, my Lord, and do unto him as thou hast said. But remove him not a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. I want to get to the age of Isaac, because she says, I don't want to let him go because he's bound to me. And Abraham said unto Sarah, my daughter, let us pray to the Lord our God that he may do good with us. So Sarah took her son, and he abode all the night with her, and she kissed and embraced him and gave him instructions till the morning. Let me see if it goes into his age. Because this is what really made me wonder when they talk about the chronology. I wish I had that, because I want to show you the age of Isaac. He was up in age when this happened in the book of Jasher. And I'm going to see if it gives us his age. It does, but I want to find out what text it does it in. And this is one of the first stories I read, and I ended up closing up the book. And I'm just scrolling up it very slowly so I don't miss it. He's placing him on the altar. It's not, it might be in the chapter before. I want to go back and look at that because I think that was so important. Here it is. Verse 55. And now that his son Isaac is born to him, he has forsaken thee. He has made a great feast of all the inhabitants of the land, and the Lord he has forgotten. And now his son Isaac is born to him. He has forsaken thee. He has made a great feast of the land, and the Lord has forgotten thee. For amidst all that he has done, he has brought no offering, neither burnt offerings, nor peace offering, nor ox, nor goat that he killed on the day that his son was weaned. Listen to this. Even from the time of his son's birth to now, being 37 years old, he built no altar before thee, nor brought any offering before thee, for he saw that thou didst give what he requested before thee, and he therefore forsook thee. And the Lord said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like unto him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, before me one that feareth God and avoideth evil. As I have lived, I say unto you, bring up Isaac thy son before me. He would not withhold him from me, much more if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me of his flock or herd. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Speak now unto Abraham as thou hast said, and now you will see whether he will not this day transgress and cast thy words aside. Then we go into the next chapter, and that's when Abraham is going to take his son up. And if I'm understanding this right, he's 37 years old. Let's go back up here. Because when I read this, I'm just like, this is not in the scriptures. And Isaac, the son of Abraham, was growing up in those days. And Abraham, his father, taught him the way of the Lord, to know the Lord, and the Lord was with him. All right? And when Isaac when Isaac was 37 years old, Ishmael, his brother, was going about with him in the tent. So if Isaac is 37 years old, how old would that make Isaac? Some of you scholars and counters, give me that answer in the chat room. How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? That's my question. How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? Brother Julius, Brother JD, some of you scholars, put that in the scriptures. Put that in the chat room. How much older, and I want to make a point here, how much older was Ishmael than Isaac? According to the KJV, by the way, according to the King James Version. How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? See if somebody put that in the chat room. So we're having class here tonight, brothers and sisters. Class. This is what we do in class. This is a question for the class. How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? Somebody's got to put that in the chat room. Somebody says, I think 12 years older. Anybody want to confirm that? Anybody want to deny that? Sister Barbara Betton's got 12 years older. I'm going to bring it up why We're doing that in a minute. I'm looking for some more answers. I know people got the book open. They looking. Somebody, all you have to do, see, my smartphone is smarter than I when I don't have the time to read it. Here we go. How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? Let's see if it's going to read. Usually it would speak out. And why is it not speaking out? Okay, let's try that again. Oh, I know why. My Bluetooth is on. So let's go. Somebody says 14, 14, 8. How much older was Ishmael? How much older was Ishmael than Isaac? It says Ishmael was 14 when Isaac was born. All right, so let's accept that age. 14 years old. He was 14 when Isaac was born. So he's 14 years older than Isaac. 14. 14. All right. So let's look at this. Let's go back over and read this. That part. Let's go back over and read this. Where are we? Right here. And when Isaac was 37 years old, so if he's 37, 37 from 14 is going to be 23. 23 years old. Anybody agree with that? 23 plus 14 is 37. So Ishmael, Isaac, but listen to what it says. When Isaac was 37 years old, not Ishmael. So if Isaac is 37, Ishmael is now 51. But I want you to look at what's happening in the chapter before. Isaac is 37 years old. Ishmael is 51. Ishmael boasted of himself to Isaac, saying, I was 13 years old when the Lord spoke to my father to circumcise us, because remember, he was 14 when he was born. I did according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke in my father. And I gave my soul to the Lord, and I did not transgress his word, which he commanded my father. And Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, Why doest thou boast to me about this, about a little bit of thy flesh, which thou didst take from thy body, concerning which the Lord commanded thee? This is a conversation that the book of Jasher is saying that took place between Isaac and Ishmael. As the Lord liveth, the God of my father Abraham, if the Lord shall say unto my father, Take now thy son Isaac, and bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but I would joyfully accede to it. So in the previous chapter, before Abraham takes Isaac up, Isaac is telling Ishmael, if the Lord wanted to offer me, I would allow it to happen. And again, he's 37 years old. And see, this is what they said at the beginning. This book has some chronological issues. So when you read this, according to Jasher, when Abraham took him up, he's a 37-year-old man. But look at what's happening with this 37-year-old man. He's getting permission from mama. Can I take this 37-year-old man up here? Listen to Sarah says, thou hast spoken well. Go, my Lord, and do with him as he has said. But remove him not a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. 37 years old. And Abraham said unto Sarah, my daughter, let us pray to the Lord our God that he may do good with us. And Sarah took her son Isaac and abode all the night with her. And she kissed and embraced him and gave him instructions till morning. Now, I didn't say that they were in the bed, but she took him and they abode all night. And she said unto them, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from thee? And she still kissed him and embraced him and gave Isaac instructions concerning him. Brother JD would be having a fit right now if his 37-year-old son was being treated this way by mama. Because it didn't go down like this in the Bible. It didn't go down like this in the KJV. Because in the beginning of the book of Jasher, it tells you that it has chronology issues. But you should not look at the book that it's not authentic. You want me to read this, but the book is not authentic. So we got a problem. We got a problem with this book of Jasher. We got a problem because it already told us that there's a problem. See, when I started reading this, I knew we had problems. I knew we had problems. I knew we had problems with the book of Jasher. Sarah said to Abraham, O my Lord, I pray thee, take heed of thy son, and place thine eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. This is not natural. We're dealing with the grown man. He abode with her all night. She held him. They embraced him. She kissed him. And, don't take him far from me. He's going someplace with daddy. But in the KJV, he's a young lad. So you see, we have some issues. And why do we have issues with this book of Jasher? There's things in there they don't want you to know. There's things in there that they want to keep from you. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of this book of Jasher. This is the online version. Is the book of Jasher real? And again, brothers and sisters, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it right here. There are a couple mysterious accounts of incidents that smack of Greek or Roman mythology, such as the story of Zepho, the grandson of Esau, who slew a half-human monster in a large cave. This account is easily recognized as the same story as Theseus, who slew the Minotaur. A Minotaur. You got a dinosaur and a Minotaur. Wow. The characters and the setting are different. A critical reader may object to this material, but many valid explanations are possible concerning why this and other such events were recorded in this book. The original author may have simply reported those things because they were popular folklore of his day. Such stories are merely mentioned in passing and no significance is attached to them. Though one might find doubt the veracity of these tales, there is nothing here that should dissuade an objective reader from the opinion that this book is genuine. They actually wrote that in there. Again, this is in the preface. This is the preface. And what am I saying here, brothers and sisters? This contradicts the KJV. And some people say, well, we got to get away from that KJV because they took the Apocrypha out, they took the book of Jasher out, they took the book of Enoch out, and there's hidden books because there's things in there that they don't want us to know. I'm going to go right back here. I'm going to go right back here. Right? I'm going to go right to the garden. For God doeth know in the day you eat thereof, your eyes are going to be open. There's things that they don't want you to know. That's what it is. Your eyes are going to be open. They don't want you to read. They don't want you to read the book of Jasher because there's things in there they know your eyes are going to be open. There's things in there they don't want you to know. The book of Enoch. It will tell you, soon as you look it up, soon as you read the preface, like we read the preface of Jasher, soon as you read it, this book is not to be viewed as written by the author Enoch, the prophet Enoch. So they're telling you. But people want to read it. Because you have another myth. Like you got mythology in the book of Jasher. You got angels coming down to sleep with humans. Brothers and sisters, part 2, beware. Satan is trying to keep you from the tree of life. The book that we have, the KJV that we have, there's no contradictions in it. There's no mythology in it. There's no folklore in it. It was not written by Shakespeare. It's a book where all the prophets talk about the history of a people. It talks about the covenant agreement with those people. It talks about the way that those people, being Israel, was supposed to be a light to the nations, a kingdom of priests, where all the nations would have been saying, what nation has such righteous laws as this? It is a book about a prophet like unto Moses, who will come through the seed of a woman and be the second Adam to redeem man from the grave. That the first Adam, because he chased after knowledge, like some of us are chasing after lost books, that caused all mankind to go down to the grave. And now the second Adam, being the tree of life, who was supposed to give us eternal life, that we can become gods, we can be part of the spiritual family, that we can enter into the kingdom that was coming down from the Father, that we can enter into that kingdom. He's still got a work to do. So he's coming to redeem man as the second Adam from the grave to still present the tree of life, the word, his laws, his statutes, his judgments, his commandments, his righteousness. And what is Satan doing today? Trying to divert you from that same book, that same tree of life. Go after these lost books. There's things in there they don't want you to know. They hid stuff from us. And we're still dealing with this. We're still dealing with the same Satan. It's the same game, brothers and sisters. It's just different players. And you and I, if we don't listen, we could be the players that Satan is playing with. So we hope today that you got something from this lesson, showing you that the Septuagint is simply a book that was translated from Hebrew to Greek, to the Greek to the English that we read today. And there's nothing in it that's different from the KJV. We lined up the Bibles. We put them side by side so you could see it. That's what we did. We put the Septuagint in one part, the Bible in another part, and there's no difference, brothers and sisters. You learned that tonight. And you learned that this book of Enoch, the book of Jasher is full of mythology. Full of it. You read that tonight. We showed that to you tonight. So what am I saying, brothers and sisters? Stick with the Bible. Don't let nobody get you caught up in the names and the don't let nobody do you like that. They're trying to get your way. Whether they know it or realize it or don't realize it, they're luring you away from the book that was provided by the tree of life. That's why when the apostles came to Jesus, he said, "Are y'all going to leave me too?" And one said, "Lord, where will we go? Because you have the words for eternal life." Come on, brothers and sisters. Don't let nobody get you out of this book. Don't let nobody make you think that this book is not real. This is the most authentic book on earth. Thank God it has been translated into English. For as he said in Isaiah, with stammering lips and other tongues will he speak to his people. And as we got on the day of Pentecost, those brothers that came from all around, devout Jews from every nation, they came and they said, "How is it that we hear these Galileans speaking in the tongues where we were born?" And what were they speaking? The wonderful works of God. So brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed it. This weekend we'll be on our final lesson on the Black history told by the prophets that will be shown live right here on this channel. The teacher is Pastor Henry Bowie, coming out of the Israel of God in Riverdale, Illinois, outside of Chicago. He's done a 5-part series. This will be the last series. This is history told by the prophets. In fact, I'm looking so forward to this 5th lesson that I am flying up to Riverdale this weekend. On Friday, I'll be there. I'm going to be there the Sabbath and Sunday just to spend some time with the brothers and to sit on the front row. I'm going to be looking for you, Sister Brenda Beauclair. I'm going to be sitting right there with my Bible, my paper, my pencil. I'm going to get me some good sleep Friday. Whatever hotel I'm going to be in, I'm going to get me some good sleep. And I'm going to get up, refresh, and I'm going to make sure I get to the class early and get my seat, brothers and sisters, so I can get this lesson. And the second weekend, we will be at the Israel of God. I'll be bringing the lesson in Cleveland, Ohio. And while I'm up there, Brother Ray Euban will be here in South Florida. What a phenomenal teacher. You do not want to miss the second Sabbath right here in Fort Lauderdale, city of Hollandale. Brother Ray Euban from the Israel of God. Brothers of the Vineyard, excellent teacher, will be right here in Fort Lauderdale teaching the lesson. So we're looking forward to that, brothers and sisters. That being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. Here's some information about the app from IOG and the Bethel app. Um, the Bethel app is for you all locally so that you will know what's going on. We often send out notifications and announcements if there's any changes that you need to be aware of. We encourage you to download this app. It's free from the Apple and the Google Store. So I'm going to play that infomercial just for a moment and we'll be right back with you and we're going to talk about it. Don't go anywhere. Check this infomercial out on our free phone app. Brothers and sisters, yeah, you can get information on the feast days, when the dates are, the times of the services here locally. You can get baptism information. When we do baptisms, you'll get the notification. You want to meet us at Hollandale Beach at the Atlantic Ocean, you'll be able to be there and get all that information and just be a part of us. So if you're anywhere here locally, download that app. Download that app. It's free. Just go to the Google store and type in Bethel House of God. Go to the Apple store and just type in Bethel House of God. It will come up. The app will come there. You can download it. You can give your offering on that app. You can get, there's a couple of lessons that I have on there that are on demand, meaning that you can watch them anytime you want to. Got a great one on Christmas, eating clean, etc. Some very significant ones. The other app I want to bring to you is the app from the Israel of God. This is an app, brothers and sisters. It is a monthly fee. However, you can get all the lessons taught in the various locations of the Israel of God. You can watch them. There's a lot of great teachers. Pastor Bowie has taught a lot of teachers. He has mentored a lot of teachers. And all of us are teaching from the book. We don't contradict each other because the book cannot contradict itself. It's not like the book of Enoch that was not written by the prophet, that contradicts itself and the scriptures. When we teach, we all teach from the same book, and you're going to get the same message. But this app is available. It's a small monthly fee, but you can get any lesson. You can look up any lesson. Any of the lessons done by Pastor Bowie or any other teacher, even this Black History Month series, the 5-part series. You can get all 5 lessons simply by subscribing to this app. You can get it and you can watch it, and then you could pause it, come back, and it'll pick up right where you left off at. That's what I like about the app. And you can watch it while you're on the bus, public transportation, while you're in your Uber, while you're at the airport, while you're at home, while you're on your lunch break. You can watch any lesson you want to taught at any of the locations at the Ears of God. So here's some information on that. Stand by and I'll be right back. Now, y'all know when you're watching these lessons and you put them up on your phone or your tablet, you can take them, even when you're watching this show, You can sit down in front of your big screen TV and just hit that button, and whatever's on your phone will go up on your TV. Some of y'all have that smart technical knowledge. If you don't do it, just Google it. You can Google anything. How to play on my TV from my phone. Just put that in there just like that. It'll pop up. It'll show you how to do it. No matter what phone you got, it'll show you how to project what's on your phone on your big screen TV. So you can do that with this IOG app. You can sit there and when you're watching a lesson, I'm going to probably end up doing that tonight. Maybe, maybe not, but I know I love taking it and just putting it up on my TV and watching it. So that's the advantage of having these apps. So, brothers and sisters, again, thank you for tuning in tonight. We're going to get out of here. Peace and blessing to you all. Remember, this is part 2. Beware. Satan is trying to remove you from the tree of life. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to Bethel BHG TV. We'll see you tomorrow night with the Balm of Gilead radio show right here. And let me tell you, it's going to be a hot lesson tomorrow night. It's going to be a panel discussion. Brothers and sisters, you do not want to miss tomorrow night. Trust me. It's a part 2 from last week. You want to tune in tomorrow night, 8:30, right here on this channel. This is a hot topic. When are you saved? You need to be here tomorrow night. All right, brothers and sisters, peace and blessings, and we'll see you. Have a good night.